And welcome back, everybody, to the Gridiron Lion. We are home. We are back on Zoom. Even though we are both in Lancaster, we are getting in a quick episode here before the Saturday slate of games on this week's NFL calendar for Week 15. I'm Casey Kreider. Joining me virtually is Zach Rhoda and the voice of God, Jace Gibbons. Zach, how you doing today?
I'm feeling really good. I just learned this morning that there was football on today, so that's always a great thing to wake up to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm feeling good. Glad to be here with you.
We've got three separate games today that we will talk about in a little bit. However, before we do that, let's take a quick recap of Week 14. There were a lot of big games in the NFL, and as we do this, Jace is going to update our spreadsheet. So we're gonna go through every game and kind of let you know how we did. We picked the Raiders Rams Thursday night game. Raiders won that game, or Rams won that game. We both picked the Raiders, so we started out 0-1 there. And then we fell to 0-2 because the Lions actually might be a playoff team somehow. And they beat the Vikings, who were 10-2 entering that game, 34-23. So
We
our game
both,
pick starting out so good.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we both going into that game thought that the Lions, at the very least, were going to put up a fight. But no, they like week in, week out, or just keep proving that they're ready to start winning some games.
And
And
with
they've been in close games for so long now, the past 2 years, because they are a young team, with a lot of young players, and then Dan Campbell only in his second year coaching. But I mean, they're looking like a real threat. If they make the wild card spot, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round.
No, and with Seattle losing and losing again on Thursday night, like they have a real shot now if they can keep winning. We'll talk about the game that they've got coming up this week, which is who do they play this week? Oh, they play the Jets. Okay, that's gonna be an interesting game. We'll get to that in a little bit. Steelers Ravens. The what was Tyler Huntley versus Kenny Pickett QB duel that turned into Anthony Brown versus Mitch Trubisky. Somehow the Ravens still won. So Zach started out 0-3 this week. That's pretty rough.
And apparently, I'm hearing that this is Kenny Pickett's second concussion already.
Yeah, and he's not
That's not good at all.
he's not going to play this weekend either. So it's going to be, I think actually, Steelers said they would announce today who their starting quarterback is. It's either going to be Mitch or it's going to be Mason Rudolph. Either way, ew, like that's going to be rough. Um,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. All right, Browns Bengals. We finally got one right. Bengals won. Won pretty convincingly over the Browns. Jets Bills. The Bills won that game. Mike White almost died on the football field trying to will the Jets to stay in that game, but the Bills ultimately got the victory. Texans Cowboys. Wow,
What a game.
what a game that nobody expected, nor really. I mean, I guess Philly fans wanted it, but like nobody expected this to be a game.
This was most people's lock of the week. We even last episode were talking about how this game probably going to be unwatchable. Yet it probably was one of the most entertaining games of the entire weekend from
I
how it
don't
seemed.
I don't even know what the Texans were doing. Like they're going like full on college mode with Lovey Smith rotating Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll in at quarterback. Damian Pierce gets hurt. They're throwing touchdowns to Amari Rogers, who literally got cut by the Packers like 2 weeks ago. Like, and yet somehow they're keeping up with and for a lot of that game beating one of the best teams in the NFC. Like, what is going on? Like that was wild. Dallas was able to pull out the win still. But that game should not have been nearly as close as it was.
What I told Demo after that game is I can't name five players on the Texans, and we literally played them a couple weeks ago. They do have some impressive, like Damian Pierce. He's by far their best player, I think, at least on offense. And he's only a rookie. Was he undrafted or a day three pick?
He was, I think, a round four pick, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah.
Their leading receiver,
Either way, though, he's great.
their leading receiver was Chris Moore. Who is that? He had,
I saw him in the
had,
fantasy waiver wire,
he
and I
had
was like, Who?
Like you look down this entire team and you're like, who are these people? But yet they almost beat the Cowboys. Cowboys pull out a win though, so I guess a win is a win, but doesn't inspire a lot of confidence going forward. One team that did not leave anything to doubt was the Eagles, absolutely mopping the floor with the Giants to move to 12-1 on the season. That was like, I mean, that wasn't even close, Zach. That was just a beatdown.
I mean, the Eagles just keep rolling at this point, and the Giants are falling apart right before our eyes. Even to start the season, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're pretenders." Yeah, they're 7-1, but a lot of that has to do with coaching, probably. Because if you look at the roster, it's definitely not the most talented. It's just coaches getting the most out of what they do have.
Yeah,
But coaching can only get you so far in the season. Because I mean, there's great coaches everywhere. Philly has great coaches as well. So if
yeah.
it just comes down to who's the better team, Eagles by a mile.
Yeah, Jalen was looking like the MVP again last weekend. I want to talk about that later. The things that what Micah Parsons was saying all week about him. That was
I saw that, or like I quickly Googled it because at first I saw what Jordan Mailata said, how he was like, I don't know why this man's talking about us. We play them next week. I'm focused on the Bears right now. And Parsons is running his mouth apparently. I just Googled Michael Parsons or Micah Parsons, Jalen Hurts, and then saw a few sentences here and there. It just seemed like stuff where he's like, oh, it's all like scheme and coaching. And it's like, okay, well, at the end of the day, as long as he throws 3 or 4 touchdowns on your head, that's all I care about. So you can think what you want, Micah Parsons.
that's going to be fun next week. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Jaguars Titans. Jaguars get the win pretty convincingly. Trevor Lawrence is starting to look like a stud, and there's actually an outside chance still that the Jags can win that division. They're 5-8. Titans are now 7-6, so they get the win. The Jags do there. Chiefs Broncos.
No one saw that game coming.
I,
Russell
I
Wilson, remember he was Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and then got concussed. The one game that our offense manages to put up more than 20 points is the game that our defense also manages to give up more than 30,
It's
which
the
is
Jerry
fair.
Judy show, though, apparently.
Oh, it's
Great for
it's,
my
it's
fantasy team.
gonna have to be this week. He's our only healthy receiver, but we'll get to that. Broncos officially eliminated from playoff contention. Oh boy, it's been a rough year.
They
Rough.
were my Super Bowl, my Super Bowl prediction to come out of the AFC. Them versus the Rams. Oh, how the
I
mighty
had
have fallen.
I think I had I forget if I think I had did I have Rams Bills? I forget what I had. I had the Broncos going to the AFC Championship game. I know that.
And I had Russell Wilson as a dark horse MVP. That has to be one of the most freezing cold takes known to man. Like, what
Well,
even is that?
almost as freezing as the take you had about Tyreek Hill having less than 1,000 yards this season, and he had like a
Who's
thousand
got
yards by
double
week.
that? I've had so many great takes, but then also so many just terrible. And I usually have made terrible takes in the past, but now with this show, it holds me accountable. So it's like, yeah, I can't. It's not like
Me
those
too.
are. Oh,
Anyway,
as
okay.
the game
Okay.
predictions stay over 500 and I keep the lead with that, then that's good. I'm yet to have a week under 500 for game picks.
That's pretty impressive. I think I don't know if I've ever been under. Have I ever been under 500? I think I've been at 500 a few times. I don't think
Yeah,
Jace. I'm looking through. I don't. Oh, I don't think so. I think I've been 7-7 a ton, but I don't think I've ever actually been under 500 either way. Look at that. Yeah, it does. Uh, Panthers Seahawks. What is wrong with the Seattle defense? Oh my, how do you let up 30 points to the Panthers and Sam Darnold, who now all of a sudden look like they're the best team in the NFC South?
I have no idea what to make of the Panthers. One minute it seems like they're tanking and they're firing everyone and trading everyone, but then they're still competitive. They're going to be one of those. They're going to play themselves out of one of the top quarterbacks or draft picks just because they're going to win one too many games that they probably shouldn't. Is they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not even going to push for the playoffs
I
or even the division.
I think you're wrong, Zach. I think the Panthers, like, I'm not so sure that they won't. Like, you look at their, like, they're only a game back of Tampa. They beat Tampa earlier this year. Tampa gets Cincinnati this week. Like, I'm just saying,
What's their record?
they're 5-8. They're only a game back.
That's so
Like,
sad though. Do
it's
you remember years ago when the winner of the NFC South was like 7-9, I think?
yeah, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh.
I think that might have been the Falcons or
Remember it happened with a couple
the
divisions.
Saints. Who knows?
You're right.
Literally, they got knocked out in the first round because they had no business being there.
Yeah. But no, it's well, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later because I like there's a legitimate path for the path for the Panthers to make the playoffs, which makes no sense, but here we are. And it's because the Bucks are so bad. They got blown out by the Niners. Dude, what is Brock Purdy on? Like,
He doesn't even have to do that much though. If you watch him play, it's just he doesn't throw it more than 20 yards. They have so many playmakers on that offense. You just got to get the ball in their hands and they'll do the rest. Like their yards after catch total, that has to be way up there. If you look at McCaffrey and then Debo and even Kittle, like manhandling people to the ground, like Brock Purdy, he's been really good. And that's the thing. Coming in, he doesn't have to be great. He just has to be at least average and just not lose them games. He's with that defense and then even that offense and surrounding cast, he doesn't have to like he literally just has to be a game manager.
well, I mean, I'd almost argue like through two games, and I know like it's I want to talk about this a little bit later, but like he almost looks better than Jimmy Garoppolo right now, which is kind of crazy to say because like he's been accurate throwing the ball. They've thrown the ball down the field a little bit, not a ton, like because that's just not what the Niners do. But like even with Debo being out, like they still, George Kittle had a monster game on Thursday. Like they look really good with Brock
We
Purdy.
we will touch on that game once we get to this upcoming week. But I did notice he did throw one really bad ball where there was a dropped pick by Seattle.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll
Besides
have
that,
that every
and
once.
there wasn't like he looked really like he was doing a good job, but at the same time, I think people need to like slow down on him. Now, is he like outplaying his expectations of being a third string mystery irrelevant? Oh, 100%. Definitely. But also he's not the second coming of Jesus Christ. And like people shouldn't be like, oh, goodbye, Trey Lance. Oh, like Jimmy G comes back. It's like, oh, well, the thing is though, if he keeps playing how he's playing and the team keeps winning,
Yeah,
they're not gonna run. Even if Jimmy G comes back at the end of the playoffs or late in the playoffs, like they might just want to keep rolling with him.
we'll get to this because I have a lot more I want to say about this, but I want to save it for next week. Um, Dolphins Chargers. Let's talk about this now because I know you want to talk about this, and I want to talk about it too. The Dolphins looked awful on Sunday night, and Justin Herbert once again put the team on his back to keep the Chargers' playoff hopes alive. But Tua just looked terrible. Like that was awful. He had like midway through the third quarter, I think he was like 3 of 17 for like 25 passing yards. I mean, what happened?
He couldn't do anything. I didn't watch the game. I just saw that box score and it just I I didn't know what to make of it.
I watched good chunks of it, and he just, I mean, the entire team looked off. I mean, Tua particularly, but like, I mean, even one of their touchdowns came on a fluke play when Tyreek Hill literally picked up a fumble and ran it back for a touchdown. And then, I mean, other than that, they really could not get anything going. And the run game struggled. Like, this team is a little too one dimensional, I think. And if they can shut down, like, if a team can shut down Tua like that, like we've seen the past couple weeks, like, Miami might not have a lot else going for them.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then the Chargers, who knows what to make of them. They'll lose
Seriously.
games that they should win, but then they'll have games like that where they just look amazing and do look like they belong in the playoffs. The consistency just is not there and has not been there this season.
it's funny how like every game Justin Herbert is throwing like 50 passes and like somehow still they find a way. I mean, like he was 31 of 50, or 39 of 51 for 367 yards and a touchdown. Like this, like there are just times when I think we almost kind of forget how good Justin Herbert is because he's surrounded by a coach that is probably a little incompetent.
Not getting the
Like,
most out of him.
yeah,
And
like
he's yet to even get to the playoffs because of that. Like last year, they played themselves out. They coached themselves, or Staley coached himself out of his first
yeah,
playoff
exactly,
appearance,
exactly.
and they might not even have a chance at the playoffs this year with how good the AFC is.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see. I think this game might be good enough to get the Chargers in, looking at the rest of the conference, but we'll get to that. Last game from week 14, Patriots Cardinals. Kyler Murray tears his ACL. The Patriots, though, had to win that game really to kind of keep themselves in the thick of the playoff race. They did. Um, we both picked the Patriots. And so I don't know if the voice of God is back from his lunch break yet, but but I will tell you that somehow, Zach, we actually ended up tying in the game picks again this week. We were both 7-6. Um, we both got wait, yeah, we both got 5 games wrong. You also picked the Steelers. I picked the Bucks, so that was where that happened. So, I remember the tiebreaker we did.
Wasn't it the Lions Vikings?
It was Lions Vikings, and
We both got that wrong.
we were messing around. And
Oh yeah, we did the. Did we ever correct that, or is that still?
no, we didn't. So
So we have
what
to.
it's
The week we actually have to use it is the week we
we
just
actually need a
kicked
tiebreaker.
around and made it like over 100 points scored.
I'm gonna confront Jace about this when he comes back. But my score prediction was um 7-3, and yours was 8-3. So Lions won by 11. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
The
We
larger
got
spread, I guess.
we got the game. Well, I guess in that case you probably win because the spread was 11. So I don't know. I'm gonna confront Chase about this when he gets back. I'm also gonna confront him about his fantasy team that I just knocked out of the playoffs, but that's a completely different story. Neither here nor there. Um,
Off to a good start this week. DK Metcalf was struggling against the Niners, and I
just
have the
acknowledge.
Niners defense.
How are you the 1 seed?
Dude, I don't know. Literally, I'm
There's no way you should
honestly,
be.
if you look at the points for, I'm dead center, but for the longest time, I was the bottom three, bottom four for points total. But also, if you look, I've been doing a lot better recently. I keep getting close to 100, but the first few weeks, I was terrible. I was getting 70 and 80 every single game.
Yeah, I get you.
The Cowboys going off with both their running backs has been really good for me. And now I got Judy and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're both doing well. Niners defense. Burrow's been good. I mean, ultimately, it just comes down to if the Cowboys running backs get shut down one game, then I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
mean, it's just sort of like I have no business really being where I'm at with fantasy. So at this point, if I can just win one playoff game, I'll see that as a win this year.
yeah. I won the Mike Evans sweepstakes.
Oh, I was wondering. I saw that, but at the
Off
same
that.
time, it's not even gonna play for me
Well,
at least.
he won't this week because I already started IU, who gave me a whopping 1.9 points. And I have Stephon Diggs, so I can't play him regardless. But if I actually survive Ethan this week, maybe he'll see the starting lineup next week. We'll see. Um, I laughed when I saw him on waivers. I was like, "Come on, Frank, why did you drop that man?"
He honestly though, like he hasn't gotten double digits in weeks. He keeps getting
Yeah,
3 to 5 points, and he's one of those players where I would love to have him as depth because if it's like worst case scenario, I can't start either Judy or Amon Ra. I'll put him in because then you have a chance of getting good points. But you put him in there, and that's best case scenario. Most likely, he's gonna get you just the number of points he's gonna get. You can count. with how many fingers you have on one hand.
See,
Like,
you're right. You're right about that. But the other thing is he is still getting like a ton of targets in that offense. So like if he actually ever like has a game, like he gets like 9, 10 targets a game. But if he ever like he will also like be susceptible to having a game where he just randomly breaks out for like probably 20 points because he'll have like 10 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns or something.
that's Mike Evans.
That is Mike Evans.
And then it all amounts to being 1,000 yards. Is he close to it this season? Or will that
Let me.
be snapped? Because doesn't he have a stretch of like, I don't know, the past few years?
He is at
Heard something about it.
805, 805 yards right now. So he's got.
Probably get it.
He'll probably, if he averages like 50 yards a game, he should get it. But that's your weekly fantasy update for our fantasy football league playoffs in full swing this week. I am playing Ethan, and I'm projected to lose by 13 because Brandon Ayuk somehow did nothing. You're playing Colson. That's actually going to be a close game.
He was projected to win. Now I am, but I mean, his running backs scare me. Derrick Henry, who knows when he'll go off?
And I just like, dude, I'm telling you, Jerry Judy is literally our only healthy receiver this week. So
I
if
saw one alerts. I know he went off last week, so I was thinking I have to definitely play him. But then I saw one video, and you click on the player, how it has all the like news on him. It was a
yeah,
video. It's the Jerry Judy show in Denver.
literally,
Well, that's good. Just throw him the ball, please.
okay, so I don't know if Jace is back, but let's move on to week 15. We have made our picks for the first 4 games this week because one of them has already happened. Niners Seahawks Thursday night. So Niners get the win, and there's 2 takeaways I had from this game. One, Geno Smith is the Seahawks might have a Geno Smith problem because he has not looked good these past couple weeks. And I don't want to overreact to like a couple bad games, but like these are games that the Seahawks needed to win. Like that Panthers losing that Panthers game is probably going to knock Seattle out of the playoffs. Like that's a game you just can't lose. And Gino didn't play well that game. He didn't really play well Thursday night. And like everyone's been saying all year, well, okay, now I mean Gino looks really good. Pay the man, stick with him as your quarterback. But like at the end of the day, like if he can't start to kind of show a little bit of what he's been showing most of the season, then he's like down the stretch, like there might be some questions as far as what Seattle wants to do with him going forward.
He's At the end of the day, Geno Smith is just a bridge quarterback who's completely outperformed, at least for the start of the season. And now he's still solid, but it's starting to fizzle out. And I think people need to slow down on. I was reading the articles that said how they're thinking about extending him and how everyone loves him and how they're going to give him this big contract. It's like, slow down, slow down. He's like serviceable for now, but he's not. I don't think you should view him at this point as your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but at this
He's a good
point,
starter for them for now, but I think 3, 4 years from now, he's not who you want to still be your quarterback.
well, and it's going to be really interesting because like the Seahawks will have the opportunity to address quarterback in the draft if they so choose because they're going to have a top 5 draft pick from the Broncos. So, like, if they want to go get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Will Levis or whoever, like, they'll have that opportunity. It's just, yeah, I mean, like, what do you do? Because, like, Gino has led this team to having a much more successful season than we all kind of thought he was going to have. But at the same time, it's like now it seems like they're starting to kind of figure him out a little bit. And at the end of the day, like there's a reason Geno Smith has been a backup in this league all this time and is just now being the starter again.
I think the best thing that they can do at the quarterback position is bring back Gino, have him your starter definitely one more year next year, but then take the quarterback that they like the most in the first round. If one falls right into their lap and they're picking the top 10, but then just let them sit on the bench and then they'll probably end up seeing the field by midseason as most first round quarterbacks do. But don't rush them in.
But their defense also needs a lot of work. Like that's something else they could address in the draft. Like their that defense is awful right now. I mean, they're just playing terrible. Um, anyway, though, my other takeaway from this game, kind of getting back to the Brock Purdy thing, like I don't know what you do if you're the Niners. Like if Brock Purdy keeps playing like this, and the Niners say the Niners, okay, they finish out, they've got the Commanders next week, and then they get the Raiders, and then they get the Cardinals. Those are three games the Niners should win. So if they come into the playoffs at 12-4 or 13-4, like, and then Jimmy Garoppolo at some point can come back, like if Brock Purdy keeps winning, like do you just keep him in as a starter and put Garoppolo back on the bench as the backup? Like what do you do there?
They probably will if one, they keep winning, and two, he doesn't give them a reason to bench him. They're not gonna do it just because. Now, also, they might want to go with Jimmy G just because of his playoff experience. Is he was in the NFC Championship last year and he's been in a Super Bowl before.
But that's the other
I
thing.
don't know. That's difficult.
And then like even like think about it like for next year because now like this is like there's a whole like Pandora's box that's been opened here because you've got Trey Lance who has a ton of potential but is unproven and you know he's very high ceiling very low floor. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo, who we know who Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's a game manager. He can win you some games. I mean, he's taken him to a Super Bowl. He's taken him to an NFC Championship game. But, you know, you're always kind of looking for something more. And now you've got Brock Purdy, who, like, I mean, if he keeps playing like this, what it reminds me of, Zach, is you remember the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl? Who did they beat in the NFC Championship game?
Case Keenum.
Vikings. Remember that year they had Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, and Teddy Bridgewater because Bradford got hurt. Keenum came in then, and Bridgewater was like still recovering from his knee. And it's like three guys who like all maybe could be a starter somewhere in this league, but it's like, what do you do with them? I mean, you've got like three very capable quarterbacks on your roster. Like they're going to have to make a decision on like who they want to go with going forward now.
I do want to see how he plays against an elite defense with dudes just constantly putting pressure on him and in his face. Because so far, that system is designed to make the quarterback thrive.
No, it is. I mean, it's
You
like,
have
I mean,
Kyle Shanahan running that offense. And then you have George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Ayuk, McCaffrey, a great offensive line. Like you really have to just mess things up to not do at least decent in that offense as a
well,
quarterback.
I feel
It's
like
very quarterback friendly.
Brock Purdy's either going to be like he's going to be somewhere between Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins. I just don't know which one yet. Like I don't know. We'll see.
Personally, I would bring back if you have a. It depends on the timing too. If it's like Jimmy G's ready for the start of the playoffs, because at this point they know they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
But if it's like a game or two with Purdy and then bring in Jimmy G, at that point, no.
yeah,
Going into the playoffs, it's like who figure out who your quarterback is and then be all in and then just
yeah. That's
go for it.
that's probably what I think is going to end up happening. But we'll see. Yeah, I did not think Brock Purdy was going to look as good as he's looked so far. And think about it, like he was a guy that like when he was first in college, like at Iowa State, like he was a projected like first round, second round pick. And then he kind of fell off, you know, as he went on throughout his career and ultimately like ended up being the last pick in the draft. But like he's kind of
Yeah,
starting to show
he
those flashes of why
he
he was.
basically had a reverse Kenny Pickett senior year where he had
Yeah.
just a horrible senior year and that just completely tanked his draft stock.
Mhm.
But if you look at what he did throughout college, I saw a graphic during the game where it was, I forget the exact numbers, but throughout college, he played really well. He
Yeah.
had really good numbers. It's just that last year was just not really a way to go out for him. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's the starting quarterback for the time being on one of the best teams in the NFL. Definitely one of the best teams in the NFC. So, I mean, it's his chance now to see what he can do.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild division to see how that all plays out going, or wild conference going forward with the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners. Uh, anyway, let's get to our three games today. The first of which starts in about 20 minutes. So
Okay.
we already set our picks for this in our chat, but Colts Vikings, we each have the Vikings winning. I don't think we really have to talk about that much more. Ravens Browns. Okay, you took the Ravens. I'm taking the Browns. I'm
Wait,
defying
wait,
all
who's the
conventional.
quarterback for the Ravens? I didn't mean to cut you off, but
It's Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley will play.
give me the Browns. I didn't know that. I
Okay.
didn't think about
Okay.
that.
Okay. In that, yeah. So, like, I mean, here's the thing. Like, even with Tyler Huntley, the Ravens are probably still favored to win. But I feel like this is a game where the Browns with Deshaun Watson, I think it's going to mainly be a Nick Chubb game. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if they get them involved, I mean, I don't have a lot of logic backing this up. I just feel like this is that one game a year where the Browns just find a way to kind of click. And trust me, I don't want any good things for Deshaun Watson, but I think the Browns are going to find a way to win this game.
I completely agree.
And
It's
then
Tyler Huntley's a pretty decent backup, but this is a game the Browns probably should win if they're without Lamar Jackson.
I agree. I agree. Um, and then the big game tonight, Dolphins Bills in Buffalo in like tons of snow. I don't know how, like I saw the picture this morning at their stadium. Like it's going to be a snow game. This is
Oh,
really interesting. We both said the Bills. The reason I picked the Bills is because I don't think the Dolphins. It's not just because the Dolphins are a warm weather team and Tua's like, oh, we played at Alabama. Like he's never had to play in the cold. Like that's part of it. But it's more so because this Dolphins team is not a physical team. They are a finesse team. They are not a team that is built to win games like this in adverse conditions, which I think is going to hurt them in this game, and I think it's going to hurt them in the playoffs. The Bills, on the other hand, like they don't have a great running game, but their running game is Josh Allen, and the Bills obviously are used to playing in conditions like this. So I think, I mean, this it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I feel like it's almost a no brainer. The Bills have to win it.
I couldn't have said it any better. I was thinking literally the exact same thing, where the Bills are just a way more physical team. And the Dolphins, a lot of their identities through getting the ball to their playmakers. Who are their playmakers? Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The
Yeah.
only way you're probably going to get it to is it going to be snowing during the game, or is it all? Did it already happen?
Yeah, I know it's already been snowing. I think it's gonna snow during the game. I'm not. Let me actually. I'll look that up. Uh,
I didn't even know about the weather conditions, and just like the two teams going into this game, like take all that and push it aside. I just think that the Bills are going to want rematch after the last time
oh,
they
that
played,
too.
because
Yeah.
that was quite a dramatic ending
No, I agree.
to. I forget exactly what happened, but I remember the Dolphins won and it came down to the final plays.
So what I'm seeing. Oh yeah, it looks like it's gonna be snowing during the game too. So
That's awesome. That'll be such a
already
fun game to watch.
that will be fun. I'm excited to see that. Uh, looks like 3 to 6 inches, maybe more, is what I'm seeing. So it's gonna be that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun game. So those are the
See
Saturday.
how Tua bounces back as well.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's if Tua if they somehow find a way to win this game with Tua, like that's gonna also say a lot about the Dolphins. But we'll see how that ends up going. So on to our Sunday games. Let's start with Eagles Bears. Conventional wisdom says the Eagles should win. Will they?
I can't pick against them. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. But also this is one of those games where I could just see some. I literally say the same thing every single week when I predict the
Yeah.
Eagles. It's like we should win this game because we are probably the best team in football right now from how we've been playing. But it's the Eagles and good things can't happen apparently for the Eagles
So
always.
you're
So
picking the Eagles?
yeah, give me the Eagles. Just because I think I could see them this being a sneaky good game where we've had a back-to-back blowouts now, and then we play a game against the Bears with how Justin Fields has been, the Bears have had a lot of games where they haven't really been getting the wins, but they're still playing a lot of people close. And he himself, I don't know how he's done the past week or two, if he's been continuing his like the tear he was on rushing the ball. But I mean, in the past, we've usually had some of our worst games against really good mobile quarterbacks because we have all these great pass rushers. But sometimes our problem can be once we get in the backfield, actually bringing them down if they're elusive. And I could so see it being just one of those frustrating games where we're getting into the backfield because the Bears don't have a good offensive line. But then Justin Fields just evades pressure and takes off for like a 20-yard gain.
I could see it being close, but the reason I'm going to take the Eagles is because I could see Jalen Hurts doing the exact same thing to the Bears defense. Like I feel like he could also have like a big day on the ground and like the ground game in general. I feel like it's just been unstoppable for Philly all year. So yeah, I gotta go Eagles there too. All right, Jets Lions. Welcome back, Zach Wilson. He is going to get the start
He
against the
is.
Lions. Yes, he will. Yeah, because Mike White's hurt. So Zach Wilson's going to get the start, and against the Lions, who are somehow like right in the playoff mix again. This is like this is almost a playoff game between when you look at where these two teams are at in the playoff picture. Like the loser probably knocks himself out of contention, and the winner keeps himself alive. So I'll let you go first, Zach. What do you think's gonna who's gonna win?
Give me the Lions. They're such a fun team this year. From what I saw in Hard Knocks, you can tell the culture that Dan Campbell built there is so good. All the players are bought in, and they were playing a lot of close games, and they weren't getting that many wins to start off. I mean, what? They were 1-4 to start the season, 1-5.
I think it might have been one.
It was really bad, but it just took time. They just had to be patient because they were having these close games that are coming down to the wire. They just couldn't finish because they're a young team with lack of experience. But I mean, everybody's been stepping up. The running backs both have been great. Their offense, getting Jamison Williams back and throw him into the mix. Jared Goff's been having an underrated season.
No,
For
Jared.
what they are, they're really hot right now.
No,
And the only game that they've lost in the past few weeks was against the Bills on Thanksgiving. And that's a game that they're a player or two away from winning.
I'm going to be honest with you. If this was Mike White starting, I think I'd pick the Jets just because I think their defense is better than the Lions' defense, and that could be the difference in the game. I don't trust Zach Wilson. I said it earlier. I don't think this benching. We'll see. I don't think the benching did anything for him. I mean, I don't think we'll see, but I feel like the issues go further than that for Zach Wilson, and the Lions are just too hot right now. That yeah, the way they're playing for Dan Campbell, I mean, they just beat one of the best teams in the NFC in the Vikings. And, now they're coming in against a team that's coming off a couple rough losses. I think the Lions have all the momentum and they're going to keep rolling. I think they'll win the game.
I'll tell you what, though, the Jets' defense at the very least will make it very difficult on the lines, especially passing the ball. With Sauce Gardner matched up on Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Yeah,
that's a really good matchup. And that
it's going to be a
also
great.
scares me for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jace is back now. Sorry, Jace, knocked you out of the playoffs. My bad. Um, Also, Jace, voice of God, we are debating. Who do we give the tiebreaker to from last week? Because we actually ended up needing it. We did, and remember we kind of messed around with it.
Yeah, the week we actually needed it.
Yeah, our official what you wrote was you had or no, Zach had the Vikings winning 8-3, and I had them winning 7-3 because we were messing around. Remember that? The Lions won by 11,
We were thinking we go by the spread.
right, which I guess would give it to Zach. Not that it really matters, but
Yeah.
oh, So the moral of the story, since apparently the recording can't hear Jace, is I guess Zach won.
Let's
Tiebreak.
just call this past week a tie. It's a tie.
We'll call it a tie. We'll call it a tie. Deal. All right. So what? I'm still. How many games back am I? Too many. 13. That's bad. A lot. And we're picking the same games this week too. Okay. Let's get to Panthers Steelers. Because the Panthers, if they win this game and the Bucks lose, they move into a tie for first place in the NFC South, which is stupid.
Somehow.
It's so stupid. Um, and the Steelers are going to be starting either Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph. I don't think they've said. Oh no, they just did announce it is Mitch Trubisky. So Trubisky's going to start. Um,
They
call me
really
crazy.
just do not want to see Mason Rudolph then.
It's not Mason Rudolph. Sorry, Steelers. It's been a great run with Mike Tomlin. He's had great career here in Pittsburgh, and he's never had a losing season. That is officially going to change on Sunday. I think the Panthers are going to win this game. I don't trust Trubisky, first of all. And the Steelers' defense has not played well the past really all season, to be honest with you. The Panthers somehow look like the best team in the NFC South, even though they have no business with Sam Darnold and Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, who suddenly look like an excellent 1-2 duo in the backfield. Somehow, and the defense even with J.C. Horn, C.J. Henderson's been playing well. Like the Panthers look like a clean, like the decent football team right now. Like not the worst team in the league. And the Steelers just, they look off. They're just not what they need to be. And with Mitch Trubisky, the way Mitch has been playing this year, when he's been like called into play, I don't know if they can win a game with him with how bad he's been.
I'm taking the Steelers. I
Okay.
think that it doesn't really matter who they have at quarterback because I think that Sam Darnold is really going to struggle this week against them. I could see this being a game where he throws a couple picks and is just kind of thrown off. If the Steelers can just get in the backfield and get after him, because he's been that way since college even. Like he'll have great games and he went high in the draft for a reason, but he's also always had issues with turnovers. And he's yet to really do that so far since seeing the starting role these past few weeks. But I think this is going to be a real difficult test for him.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's just like Steelers secondary has not played up to their expectation all year. So,
I'll say this: I don't think it's going to be an enjoyable game to watch. I think
I
it's
agree.
going to be really sloppy. I think the Steelers are going to win in a really sloppy game with quite a few turnovers on both sides.
We'll see. We'll see.
I agree with Zach.
Like I think
I also
I
have it
ultimately
that the recording can hear me now.
Okay.
okay,
I
good,
fixed the issue.
good.
Gotcha. So anyway,
I just think that the Steelers are going to run the ball well and play defense good, and then take care of business. And it could be close. I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't see either team scoring more than 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I've also said in the past that those are the games that the Steelers tend to win.
they do. They do. Yeah.
So better coaching as well.
We'll see. But
My phone has 5% battery, so let's keep it going.
you have a charger?
Yes, but it's not very long, so I'm gonna have to transition to the floor.
Okay. While you do that,
That'll make this
can we
entertaining.
just both acknowledge we're picking the Chiefs to beat the Texans?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
no, Casey, you have the Texans. It's written down on the spreadsheet.
Oh wait, I can do this.
Falcons Saints. Another game that weirdly enough could have a lot of playoff significance depending on what happens with Bucks. Desmond Ritter is going to make his debut for the Falcons against the Saints. Zach, what do we think happens in this game? I think I'm going to take the Falcons. I think Desmond Ritter is going to find a way to get the win.
Give me the Saints. I don't.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, hey, if the Falcons win that game, they're also in a tie for first place. So We'll see what happens.
The worst division. It's so bad, yet it's actually competitive and entertaining because it's really every single team in that division at this point has a shot at winning it. Except what's the Saints record?
They're 4-9, and the Falcons are 5-8. One game out of
Yeah, so the Saints are the only team that sadly literally doesn't even have a chance because they lose this game, and then I know we play them. We'll win that game.
I agree. Cowboys Jaguars. All right, this is interesting. The Jags look hot. Cowboys are coming off a close one.
Trevor Lawrence has been playing great recently.
What do we think happens here?
Cowboys. I think they get another win.
I think I would pick the Jags if it wasn't for the fact that the Cowboys almost fell into the trap game last week against the Texans. And even though I don't think Mike McCarthy knows how to head coach a team, if he doesn't at least have this team a little more prepared and a little more buttoned up after almost losing to the worst team in the league last week, then I don't know what to tell you. So I think
Doug Peterson has experience against the Cowboys.
it's true. That's true. I think it'll be a good game. I could see it being close. I think this is kind of one of those that screams a bounce back game for Dallas, and it's probably going to knock Jacksonville out of the playoff race if they lose. But if they do find a way to win, then there's actually some intrigue there with Tennessee.
I will say this also. Dallas always had our number when we were under Doug Peterson, and that was with much more talented Philly teams than this year's Jaguars team. And this is a really good Cowboys team, better than years past.
I agree.
So
we'll see.
As much as I would love the Jaguars to win and I'm rooting for them to win, I don't see it happening. I think the Cowboys had kind of like one of those weeks last week and then still managed to come out with the win, but I think they'll just be back to where they should be this week and they'll have a bounce back performance.
My thoughts exactly. Cardinals Broncos. Brett Rippon versus Colt McCoy. Jerry Jeudy is literally our only healthy receiver. Give me the Cardinals.
Oh,
that's gonna be.
I didn't even know that Brett Rippon was starting. That's such a bad game. I thought last week that the Cardinals Patriots game was unwatchable. Like once I saw that Kyler Murray went down, I was thinking this has to be the most like literally boring game you could possibly have on TV right now. But this game is even worse than that.
Brett Rippon is like literally one of the worst backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Like there's no shot we win this game.
Okay. And Colt McCoy is decent. He's not good, but I mean he's experienced.
So you're picking Broncos?
No. Cardinals will win this.
All right.
Broncos could even win with Russell Wilson and all their dudes healthy. Now that people are getting injured, there's no way.
The team is just getting decimated by injuries this year. Patriots Raiders. Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick, former assistant there for a long time. Give me the Patriots. There's no way Belichick loses to McDaniels. No, it's not going to happen.
The way they lost last week to Baker Mayfield, dude, that defense is not good on the Raiders. Awful. Yeah, give me the Patriots.
Titans Chargers. This is a big game. Both these teams are 7-6, and the Titans are trying to fend off Jacksonville for the AFC South, while the Chargers are trying to stay in the wild card race. This is in LA.
Chargers coming off a great game. Titans have been kind of on a downward slope the past few weeks. Give me the Chargers. I think they're going to make the AFC wildcard race a bit more competitive, and they're going to get a win here.
I am going to take the Titans because I think Derrick Henry is going to have a big night or a big game. That is my prediction. I think the Chargers defense is banged up, and I feel like the Chargers are the better team, but I feel like the Titans match up a little better with them. That's my thinking. Bengals Bucks. All right. Tom Brady versus Joe Burrow, Volume 1. Maybe the only time these two ever play each other. Um, man, I got to take Cincy. I mean, they're hot right now, and Tampa just looks terrible. I mean, they didn't even keep it competitive against the Niners. It wasn't even. I mean, the defense isn't playing well. They're barely beating bad teams, and they're not even keeping competitive with good teams. I mean, I know Tom Brady usually finds a way to pull games like this out of his butt, but like, I feel like the Bengals got to win this, right?
I'm gonna go with an upset.
Oh, boy.
Give me the Bucks. I don't know why. I just have this feeling.
Fair,
Like this
fair. I
is a
got you.
game the Bengals, if you look at it and how the Bucks have been recently, the Bengals should 100% win this game. But they've won the past few, and I feel like this could just kind of be a trap game for them. It's
Yeah,
it's gonna go one of two ways.
trap game.
I think that either the Bengals are just gonna blow them out, and then Tom Brady's just gonna be forced to air out the ball, and then he'll get a bunch of like garbage time stats, and it'll be like 50 passes, 350 yards. Either that, or they're gonna win the game, and it's gonna be low scoring, and the Bengals offense is just not gonna be what it was. Actually, I don't know. I literally don't know what this game is gonna be.
Yeah,
Who knows with Tom Brady and this Bucks team this year?
you never know.
I feel like they could lose to anyone, but they could beat anyone. And this is just if an upset's gonna happen this week, this will be the game.
I get you. All right. Giants Commanders Sunday Night Football. Both these teams have the same record. They're 7-5-1. They tied when they first played each other. I'm going to go against conventional wisdom. I'm going to take the Giants because I think this could be a big game for Saquon Barkley, and I think that if he has like, look, if the Commanders take him out of the game, I don't think Daniel Jones can beat you. But the Giants have been slumping lately. I feel like this is a game against a team they probably should have beat the first time they played. They can find a way to get the win, I think. And I honestly think whoever wins this game, like, probably locks up a spot in the playoffs, or like not mathematically, but like gets pretty close. A lot closer than the team that loses.
Last time these two teams played, they obviously tied.
That was
But
2 weeks ago.
the past if you take a look at I don't know, maybe the past 5 or 6 weeks total, and just the path that these two teams have been on, it's been completely reverse. The Giants start off so hot, and then they're what 1-5-1 recently, and then Washington was looking like the worst team in the division by far, and now they're making a push for the wild card spot. And now that they have this game, and realistically the wild card spot within reach, I think they're gonna play even better than the last time these two teams met, and I think they're gonna win by like 1 or 2 scores.
I could totally see that. This is one of those games I just kind of have a feeling. I feel like this is a game that if Saquon goes off, which I just feel like is going to happen for some reason, then I don't think Washington's going to have a chance against him. But we'll see. Last game, Monday Night Football, Packers Rams, the suddenly interesting Rams against the Packers, who somehow are
Wait,
still
sorry.
mathematically
I
alive.
zoned out. What did Zach say for the last one?
Commanders.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. Rams, Packers. Give me the Packers. I know everyone, Baker Mayfield looked amazing in that Thursday night game, but like let's not get it twisted. The Rams are still really banged up. They've got a ton of injuries. They're still missing for Cup. They're still missing Allen Robinson. And I think this is the type of game I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to win. It's in Lambeau. It's going to be a cold game. The Rams aren't used to playing in cold weather. I think the Packers win this game.
Bro, last week was just the first phase of the Baker Mayfield cycle. So they're gonna lose this week now. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
I
like,
agree.
they probably shouldn't have even won that game. I've kind of viewed it as the Raiders just choking, because it's like if you look at it, the Raiders very easily could have ended that game going into the half. If they scored that touchdown in the red zone and Derek Carr didn't throw that pick right when they're at like the 5 or 10, it would have been 20-3 at halftime, and the game would have been just completely out of reach.
Yeah.
Is the Rams offense only really clicked on that final game winning drive.
Yeah, I agree.
And it wouldn't be too late at that point.
Yeah, no,
So
I mean, they're playing against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I don't think they're gonna have as much success against the Packers this week on the road, but we shall see. All right, Chase, what's the tiebreaker this week?
Let me take a look. See. Feeling a little bit of the Dolphins Bills.
Oh, okay.
See how the snow is going to affect them.
I hope it's not because I want this to be a good game. But I'm gonna predict a bit of a blowout. I think Bills win it 27-10.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think the Bills win 28-24. I think it'll be a fun game.
Okay. I hope you're right.
I think the Dolphins offense is gonna have a bounce back week, but I still think when it comes down to just the more physical team and who's gonna come out on top in the snow, I think it's gonna be the Bills.
No, I agree. That's why I picked them. I don't know.
I think the Bills are gonna start with a big lead, and then I could see the Dolphins just airing it out or attempting to in the snow, and then I could see someone like Tyreek Hill having a big game. If just like yards after catch, if they get him going in the screen game or get him the ball underneath and let him just do his thing, maybe.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the snow is gonna mess with. I mean, the Tyreek and Waddle and like their biggest asset is their speed. Like you can't really do that in the snow. You know that's the biggest thing for me is I don't know how that's gonna translate, but I guess we'll see. I think it'll be an interesting game if nothing else. I hope it's close, but I just don't think it really will be. But we'll see. Zach, is there anything you'd like to say as a parting message to our audience before we sign off?
Wasn't really expecting this, but no, not really. Go Birds. Yeah, that's it. Go Birds. Now we're definitely gonna lose to the Bears.
I think that's the perfect way to end the show. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out, fellas.
Goodbye, everyone.